My name is Daphne Willems. I'm in my normal life the global river dolphin rivers lead for WWF, the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And today I'm your host for the next 90 minutes. And we're here in Stockholm, and we have also many people online. In a minute, we'll be able to see them. And the theme of this World Water Week here in Stockholm is Seeds of Change, innovative solutions for a water-wise world. And that is a beautiful fit with our session today, because we talk about sound of safety, and those are innovative technologies for food security and river dolphins. So you learn about river dolphins today, about communities, about technology. I think it will be a beautiful session where everything is coming together. So the hybrid session has as a consequence that the people online can only use the chat. So we have, I tried to make it interactive with you, but the setup from Siwi is that they can't talk. But luckily we have Leanne Kill online, and she will be the voice of the people online to share questions. Here, please feel free. We have an assistant with a microphone. So if you have doubts, questions, whatever, feel free to jump in, and I'll be happy to hear you and to discuss. So the session has more or less 3 parts. This is the opening. And then we'll go into a technical part where the technology of the innovation is explained by 2 colleagues, the manufacturer, Rob Enfield from FishTech, and an expert from Indonesia, Daniel Krep from Yayasan Konservasi Rasi. Then we have a second part that goes into the field experiences, India and Pakistan. We hear from the communities and from experts from WWF from both countries. And the third part is a discussion panel. So that's really nice that we have an innovation, and nice we can see it works, but how are we going to scale it up? How are we going to work into the future to make it really impactful at scale? And we'll have governments to talk with us, private sector participants, and the Wildlife Institute of India, a knowledge institute. I'm really happy we have everybody with us. You can't see them, but they are there, I promise you. Oh, you can see them. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, guys. It's brilliant. And I wanted to start with a small video, 3 minutes, to dive with you in the world of river dolphins. Quite amazing, aren't they? So we have 6 species, 8 big rivers, and millions of people. Those are the protagonists of today. And to make this not just nature focused, because this session is really also about food security and activities of others, we invited David Croft from Reckitt to talk to us why he and his organization care for river dolphins and what he expects from this session today. That is a pre-recorded video. So very welcome, David Croft. Oh dear. Can you please switch to the video?
Hi, everybody. I'm David Croft, and I'm Reckitt's Group Head of Sustainability. First of all, thanks for inviting me along today to contribute to the conversation on the sound of safety and river dolphins. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I know that you're going to have a really great conversation. Now, you may not have heard of Reckitt as a company, but I'm absolutely sure you'll have heard of many of our brands and use them in your own homes. We have brands like Dettol, Finish, Airwick, Vanish, Durex, for example, and every day those brands go into round about 30 million households around the world. And over the last 4 years, we've had a fantastic partnership with WWF. The WWF partnership with Reckitt focuses on protecting and restoring vital ecosystems around the world, and specifically at the Amazon and on the Ganges River basins, to critical habitats for river dolphins. And we know that they're a key indicator species of the health of those rivers. And those rivers are equally the lifeblood of huge economies and support the livelihoods, the health and well-being of hundreds of millions of people, along with providing a massive social impact and societal impact for the communities that they form part of. So driving positive impact on the aquatic ecosystem has a massive impact on the communities around them that those rivers support and serve. We're also a company that encourages entrepreneurship and innovation. And so it's great to see how the investment in the program helps catalyze innovative approaches to safeguarding river dolphins, while also improving the community livelihoods around those rivers. So bringing those 2 or 3 things together, we all understand that investment in nature is an investment in people, but sometimes we forget those links. And we're really pleased to be supporting WWF to support a future for river dolphins, their habitats, the rivers and the river basins that are lifebloods, literally, for communities and for countries that we're part of. I know there's going to be a lot more to come from our partnership in delivering those goals. So once again, thank you for inviting me to speak. And I'm sure that you'll see an awful lot more of really inspirational conversation during the course of the sessions you're at. And I look forward to hearing more about the technology and WWF's ambitions to build on the impact that they and we together are achieving. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. So we'll make sure to feedback with you. And I think it was beautifully said. An investment in nature is an investment in people. And that's exactly what the pingers are about. So this was the opening. It took a bit longer than we hoped. But now we're going into session 1, which is a technical part on how...
Hi, everybody. I'm David Croft.
I should learn this. And we're going to hear from the manufacturer, Rob Lenneville. We're going to hear from the first field trials in Indonesia from Danielle Kreb. And I think it's best now to focus technical assistance totally on the Zoom, because those speakers will run their own slides. I have them here just to be sure. It is already done. Rob, can I please invite you to speak up? Maybe you can be spotlighted so everybody sees you.
Daphne, we've got Rob and Danielle spotlighted for the Zoom call. Just wait for it up.
Don't be shy, Rob. Hi, Danielle, great to see you.
Perhaps while we're waiting for Rob, can we go over to Danielle?
Hey, hello, everyone.
Hi, Danielle. So it looks like we lost Rob, which is a shame because he's in UK, so we were trusting his connection. And I spoke with him this morning, but maybe there is a storm going over the island. Danielle, can you please then, without having the technical background, tell us how this works at Pinger, because you tested it in the field. Rob has the technology, the background, the theory, so to say, but you made it work for river dolphins. Can you please take us to Kalimantan, East Kalimantan, and your river dolphins? Cheers.
Sure. Thank you, Daphne, for the introduction. And without the technical introduction from Rob, I'll try to do my best to explain a little bit what the thing is involved in Kalimantan, and east part of Kalimantan, precisely on the Mahakam River. Allow me to share my screen.
Please do. Thank you. And I heard you had a really small population there, right? Only 61 individuals?
Yeah, at the moment, it's really a small population, but we hope, because the last 2 years we have had a really reduction in mortality, that this will be a trend and that the population can be maintained in the future or grow, because the mortality is being suppressed and the births are still taking place, which is a good thing. So yes, and thank you for the opportunity to talk on this forum. Let me start right away. I'm Danielle. I'm the scientific program leader of the Yayasan Conservasi Rasi. You could say it's the Conservation Foundation for Rare Aquatic Species of Indonesia. You can visit our website and find other interesting things about the Mahakam River dolphins in that section. As a background, the dolphin is locally called...
Sorry, Danielle, we cannot see your slides.
Aha.
There they come. Thank you. Please.
It's delayed, is it? Can you see it now?
Yes, we're now at the introduction slide.
Okay, so there was a delay. So just maybe briefly have a look at our website if you want to follow us on the website or Facebook or Instagram. Let me continue. So pursuit is protected dolphin species in Indonesia, but it is the local name because it's actually an earwater dolphin. Can you see this second slide already?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yes, the last estimate in 2022 was 61 individuals, which is definitely a very small population, with an annual mortality in general about 4 dolphins per year. But as I said last year and this year, we have 1 individual that died. Population estimates over the last 10 years are showing a significantly decreasing trend, though. And gillnet related mortality was actually the cause of 70% of the known mortality causes. So in Indonesia also, you have to understand that gillnets are legal fishing tools because actually they are in a sense sustainable because they're not really big nets as we can find that for coastal populations. Let me continue now. The study actually started in 2019, and we have done 4 trial studies before we started distributing pingers on the Mahakam River. Rob will tell you definitely more about it. A pinger is an acoustic deterrent which emits high frequency sounds on the water, and these sounds are kind of scrambling the sonar signal of dolphins. So when they hear this sound, they have difficulties of echolocating, and they need to echolocate to find prey. So when you put a finger on a gillnet, you will find that the dolphin will stay away from that gillnet. Now, our concern was how to develop a finger which is loud enough to deter them, but also not too loud to deter them away from the favorite feeding areas. But because different maybe at sea, when you are passing, they are attached to certain trawlers or other boats. They're like always standing there, and the nets are put up in favorite dolphin areas, so you don't want to exclude them from these areas. So we had trial studies with making different zones from the gillnet or the finger, like the 10-meter zone, 20 meters up to 100, and then we looked at the surfacing patterns of dolphins. For one day we had a finger on, and the next day it was off, and this would be continued for 14 days, and then several tries like that. So when we found out that there were good results, we had tried 2 fingers. They were specifically developed for the Mahakam River situation because normally the fingers are louder than this. We found that the one with 125 decibels and then having a frequency between 50 and 120 kilohertz were the most effective because they definitely kept dolphins away more than 10-meter distance, but also no dolphin exclusion from the feeding areas. The time spent within these, for example, confluence zones, they stay unchanged. Also, we've done fish catch studies, and we found that some specific catfish species actually were larger when the finger was on. They were in some sense attracted, which was, we were curious about it because actually fish are not supposed to react to high frequency sounds, but for catfish, this kind of worked this way, that we found they had larger prey. And until now, fishermen really happy with the fingers because they feel that the nets are undamaged. The dolphins do not steal fish from the nets, and also the fish they catch sometimes can be slightly more than when the finger is off. So until now, we have like installed 2015 fingers belonging to 160 fishermen, but this was a gradual process. So we really took time to evaluate with the fishermen and slowly increasing the numbers and reducing the risk of dolphins getting entangled in the sense as well. So until now, there's no deep predation. Also, no entanglements of dolphins in nets. So actually, I was asked to keep it brief, so maybe I can ask many questions before my last slide. Just a major thank you to WWF, who supports on numerous occasions our program with the fingers, and also other sponsors you can see on this slide. So thank you all, and a huge thank you to Fishtech who developed the fingers, of course, to Chelonia, also who gave a lot of technical advice about this. And yeah, that was my presentation.
Thank you, Danielle. Big applause. That is so impressive. you had 4 deaths a year, and now you have 0 deaths, and you have no rupture to the nets and increased fish catch for the fishers. So everybody happy, right? It's a real savior. This. Thank you for introducing. I see we have Rob back. Rob, are you also able to speak, or is it just your face?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can't hear you yet.
Hello. Massive apologies for my internet letting me down there. Yes, I can hear you. Definitely go ahead.
Well, please, you go ahead. The technical obstacles, of course, are taking us time, but I would love to hear 2 slides from you, because the sounds that you will be sharing with us, we already know it works. So that was the tension building up from your presentation to Danielle's is now lost. But maybe you can share with us how a pinker sounds, how a dolphin sounds, and how it works.
Okay, yeah, no problem. If you could allow me to share my screen, that would be good. At the moment, the host is disabling me.
Can I share my screen, technical staff? Oh, sorry.
Aha,
Please
there we go. Can you see that okay, everyone? Good stuff. So apologies for my internet crashing and coming in a backwards order. My name's Rob Enever. I'm head of science at Fish Tech Marine, which is a UK-based conservation engineering company. And we design and manufacture technologies to facilitate the fishing industry becoming more sustainable. And I was asked to talk about what actually pingers are, not what they do, but what essentially they are and how they are used. So, you know, in the fishing industry, there's something like 300,000 whales, dolphins and porpoises accidentally entangled in fishing nets every year. And one of the main reasons for this is that the nets are invisible to not only the fish which they're intending to catch, they need to be invisible for those, but also to other animals that are passing by as well, such as river dolphins, porpoises, you know, seals and other marine animals. So a pinger is a small electronic device that attaches to a fishing net that transmits a small sound, a chirp, that enables cetaceans, so dolphins, porpoises and whales, to hear the net and then be able to move away from the net and not become accidentally entangled. And I can give you, hopefully share my sound with you there. Hold on a moment. As you can hear, it's a small chirp, and that alerts the animal to the presence of the net. It's a very simple device, but it also doesn't scare away the fish because it transmits at a frequency that is outside the hearing range of other animals, except the river dolphin that you're trying to deter. So it's quite clever in the selectivity of it. And each ping is different, so they don't get used to it. And they go off every 4 to 12 seconds. So it's kind of randomized. And they attach to the net in a rubber carrier, which looks like a banana, hence the banana pinger. And so, hold on. And so these are used, pingers are used in the marine environment and have been for the last couple of decades. The marine environment is quite different to a river environment, and they've shown to be very effective where they're used with porpoises and some dolphin species as well. And one of the experiments that we do in the marine environment is to listen to the effect of the pinger at deterring the cetaceans. So we have a pinger that will come on, then go off, then come on, then go off. And while that's happening, we have a device that records the clicks and whistles of those dolphins underwater. And what you can see from this graph here, I don't know if you can see my pointer, but for the 30 hours when the pinger is on, these dark purple lines represent dolphin. There's no dolphin around. But for the 30 hours when it comes off, they immediately return. Then it comes on again, then they disappear. So they're very good at deterring cetaceans from close proximity to the net. And we see that in lots of trials at sea. But Danielle tasked us with a slightly different challenge because the marine environment is a big, vast environment, whereas the river environment in the Amazon or Indonesia or other places where river dolphins meet are much narrower bodies of water. And what we wanted to be careful of was that we didn't create a sound that stopped the dolphins moving up and down the river and preventing them from getting to their optimal feeding ground. So we worked with Danielle and her team at lots of different volumes, and we settled on a device that was quiet enough to allow the upwards and downwards migration of the animals, but also loud enough to ensure that the dolphin were alerted to the presence of the net. And so whilst it's only a 20 decibel difference, actually, it's a funny old scale decibels, it's actually 100 times less sound energy. So that was the optimal sound that we created. And you can see from Danielle's results in the earlier presentation that showed to be a very effective means to resolve that problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Will you allow me to share the sound of the dolphin? Because that was something
yes,
that...
of course. Yeah, so this was recorded.
Here, I ran it.
So this noise was recorded by some of the acoustic equipment, and it's the first time that it's ever been played or recorded. It's a boto, which is an Amazonian river dolphin, and ordinarily this environment is a completely serene Amazon jungle, but actually underwater these animals are communicating with each other. They're displaying behaviors and coming up with new words, and all of these, none of it was known before, but actually listening to these animals, all of a sudden this serene Amazon environment comes alive with this communication. So it's just really fascinating to hear that.
Thank you, Rob. I think indeed, you mentioned to me it was 2,000 clicks a second they make. I mean, we can't hear it, but it's amazing. So yeah. Thank you for sharing this with us. Brilliant. Now we know more. We know how it works in technical theory, and we know how it was made work for river dolphins in the field. It took Danielle 3 years to really get the right frequency, to really get the right loudness, to make sure it worked. And now we have something that works. Before we go to the second part and see how we're applying it in India and Pakistan, are there any questions? Leanne, are there any questions online maybe for Rob or Danielle?
Thanks, Daphne. Also, everyone, we are aware there's some technical difficulties with the sound, and we will share these presentations again just to make sure you've gotten the full experience. We've got one great question that's come in from Valeria in London. It says, we know that dolphins are intelligent. Don't they just adjust to the sounds when they discover that there's no danger involved? So who would be the best person to answer this question for us?
It is a fascinating question because you refer to many dolphins, right? We have 6 species you already knew, but habituation, what you're mentioning, so dolphins getting used to the sound, I'm sure that's a question for Danielle.
Thank you for this question. It's a very good question. It's also one of our concerns. So after we've done 3 trial studies, and when the fingers were already placed in a certain location where we did the trial studies, so we kept them running there. After a year, we did a habituation study also, and then we found that the results still apply to the dolphins, because still, if we also did the visual observations with the distances, but also when we did acoustic recordings, we could hear that dolphins would only echolocate outside of 20 meters using jaw clicks as well, so they were not feeding within that particular zone. So yes, it still works, but you have to keep on continuing monitoring, also with the fishermen, if the nets are still safe, there's no signs of damage or whatsoever. And yes, actually dolphins are able to adjust like temporary the frequency or even the hearing, although I think it doesn't go that quickly neither. I mean, it must be very loud in order to, but they are intelligent, and I'm sure they might get around it. So that's why we have to keep on continue monitoring this habituation. And I didn't mention it in my presentation, but we also do not want to rely 100% on fingers to mitigate mortality, but we also have a program on alternative fishing gear. Now we interviewed fishermen if they were willing to change into alternative fishing gear, and actually, fortunately, yes, they want to, if there is an option, but they kept it for free. Alternative fishing gear, they would switch to other gear as well in the end, if it's really banned.
Thanks, Danielle. Okay, so you tested habituation for years now and it did not occur. I remember at the start it did occur, but then you start to randomize, as Rob explained, the sounds, and apparently dolphins are not that intelligent that they are now recognizing that. Really good to hear that you did not find any habituation. And of course, we need plans B, right? You can't put fingers everywhere and think the problem is solved. This is part of a transition, and I'm sure we'll come to that later. Thank you. With that, I would like to start to close the technical part. Thanks a lot, Rob and Danielle. We might come back to you with other questions or during the panel discussions if you want to jump in. So please stay with us. But it was really appreciated. Cheers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the second part, we're going to the field. We want to hear from communities. We heard it works for communities, but we want to hear from them. And there is a project that's called Sound of Safety, and it's supported by the Darwin Initiative, by Reckitt, and by Anglo Foundation from Pakistan. And we have first a small video to introduce to you some of the ideas, and then we have some presentations from both India and Pakistan to tell you more about the details. So I'll try again to run a video. I hope the sound works.
They have only 6 species of river dolphins in the world, and they are all endangered or critically endangered. The leading cause of their mortality is because of fishing nets. If we could change the conflict between fishermen and dolphins into an opportunity where they coexist, then this can be a game changer for the conservation of river dolphins globally.
उधर सफर फिरिया था पेरा पेरा इते जे डॉल्फिन हुंदी असां जाड़ा लगल हुंदा इते दरिया में डॉल्फिन अची जेकी उन में मच्छी फासंदी हुई तो डॉल्फिन छाए उहा असांजी खाई वेंदी या त कॾहिं विचड़ी पवंदी उन विचड़ण जे करे डॉल्फिन जेकी मरी वेंदी इन चकर कोई टीम आई आला जेकी असांखे सिखिया बि ॾिनी अथसि त भई फिंगर आहिनि बनाना सिस्टम जा आहिनि जेका असां जाड़नि में ॿधूं था उन हिसाब सां असां हिते शिकार करूं था त डॉल्फिन काफ़ी असांखो 100 खां 150 मीटर तक परे वञे थी हली पोइ असांखे उनजी आसानी थिए थी मच्छी मारण में बि ऐं
WWF India have already started a project called Sound of Safety, which will involve the use of fingers, and that if the project is successful, those fingers will be distributed among the fishermen community, so that those are placed on the nets, and so that the dolphins does not get caught in those nets that actually leads to their death. So we are also looking forward to this project, and if successful, definitely that will reduce the number of dolphin deaths in future.
Thank you. Yes, we need more supporters, but we'll come back to that in part 3. Can I now invite Usma Khan? You already saw her in the video from WWF Pakistan, and Hameda Aisha. Please take the floor and share with us what you have been doing in the field over the last 12 months, a bit more already, I think.
Thank you very much, Daphne. I'll just bring it to the slideshow.
Thank you. You can share your screen if you want.
Can you see? I've already shared. Can you see my screen?
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Daphne, we can see the slides and hear in the online session.
But you can't, right? It's very low, the sound.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear her speaking. She asks if we hear her now. I can, Usma, but I'm the only one.
Okay. So should I go on or should I wait
We
for
can
you?
also hear you, Usma.
Sorry?
Maybe we can all come here.
We can hear you. I don't know about the audience, but we can all hear you.
Okay. Should I continue?
Usma,
Go ahead, Usma. Go ahead.
I believe the sound is quite low for the audience, but let's get going, and
I'm sorry,
hopefully
Usma.
the tech can help us out.
We have to wait.
Okay. Daphne is saying I have to wait.
Where are you hidden? Usma, can you speak again?
Hello, can you hear me? Is it better, Daphne?
Usma, can you speak again?
Can you hear me? Hello, everyone in Sweden.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll begin. So we started the trials of pingers. Now you know what pingers are, with the support from Darwin Initiative and Ingro Foundation. And we are focusing on one of the endangered population, which is endemic to the Indus River system. If you look at the map, I'm taking you to Pakistan, and we are talking about a stretch of about 500 kilometers, and it has 90% of the global population of Indus River dolphin. So we tested, as we have been talking, that, you know, it's about building a coexistence, because dolphin mortality is very common in the fishing gear. We tend to understand it for the marine cetaceans, marine dolphins, but the problem is equally bad for river dolphins. So we wanted to build that coexistence, and we thought that let's try pingers along with fishermen. So fishermen are very much part of this. It's not like a scientific study, which is not inclusive of the local communities. Communities are very much part of it, because they have to tell us about the responses of dolphins to the pingers, responses of their, you know, their catches and how they feel about it. So we are talking about this river stretch where we have 3 sites. And then we had, if you look at this form is made in local, not even national language, local Sindhi language. So actually communities can record how much fish they caught, and if there was dolphin, how far is it? And the oversight is provided by the project team. So we tried 3 different types of pingers, because the fishing practices are such. So you use a very loud pinger, which we call anti-depredation pinger. It's really loud. You turn it on for like few minutes to clear the area from dolphins. And then, because the practice is such that you have a fixed net, and then fishermen bring a net, closing that entire river section and taking out all the fish from the river section. So it's important to clear that area first before they start to drag the net. So we use banana pingers and anti-depredation pinger combination. And then to check, as somebody asked a very good question about, do dolphins get used to it? So at one site, we only put a cycling pinger, and we have left it on to see the responses of dolphins. And so far, dolphins are not coming close to the cycling pinger. And we had very good, successful trials of banana pingers in the fishing season of 2022-23, because the fishing season begins from September and continues till April. So we had the trials for these months, and we had some excellent result. And we are very happy that this has been a success so far. So we tried for the first 4 months of the year. It started actually end of December. And if you see,
Sorry to interrupt, Usman. Can you be a bit concise, because we're running out of time?
Okay. So if you see the graph, you see that from 0 to about 20 meters, you don't see any dolphins when the pingers are on, but gradually you begin to see surfacing. So it means that dolphins are cleared by the pingers when they are active. And as soon as you turn them off, you see that dolphins return close to the fishing gear. So between 0 to 10 meters, they are back in the habitat. So this disturbance is not permanent, and it has very positive results on the fish catches as well. So fishermen are very happy. If you see the pingers on day and off days, there's a difference of about 170 kilograms of fish, which is a very welcoming sign, and communities are actually really liking it. So I'll hand it over to my colleague to talk a little bit about the Friends of Dolphins program.
Thank you, Dr. Uzma. So Bulan Dost is basically, Bulan is the local name of our Indus dolphin in our local languages, and Dost is the friend. So this program, which is Friends of Indus Dolphin program, builds on the legacy of our engagement of community stewardship and also enhancing inclusive community efforts, conservation efforts for dolphin rescues and protections, to a more organized and holistic program, which is driven by community-based, fisher community-based engagements to monitor and also to support the rescue efforts. So we started this program last year, which covers 6 priority habitats of the Indus River dolphin sites, covering the largest and the second largest population of the species. And it basically engages 200 plus fishers from all across these sites, including women fishers, who use this paper-based tool, which we're looking at the center of the screen, to record the frequency of presence of dolphins, especially in those areas where we know the monitoring coverage otherwise is limited. And they also help us to collect information, which is essential to record the status of the threats, and also to keep an eye to how the diversity of the threats is increasing. So for example, if you look at this pie chart at the bottom of this slide, so you'll see some of the threats are prevalent and they're permanent, and they are the same across the habitat, including the habitat degradation and pollution. Whereas some emerging threats, such as the use of electrofishing and also the use of poisoning for fishing, is something which is emerging, and these fishers are extremely helpful for us to highlight those areas where this problem is prevalent. Next slide, please. And where these fishers are also our ears and eyes on the grounds, and in the absence of a comprehensive and extensive patrolling effort unavailable in those remote areas. So this picture, for example, this is a heartbreaking picture of 2 dolphins, which we lost as an outcome to entanglement of the fishing gear. So our 2 fishers, basically, they captured these pictures, and they when they do it, basically, they help us also to sort of prioritize those areas which needs immediate protection coverage, monitoring coverage, and also to really support to initiate the efforts of community engagement mobilization to deter the bycatch. But also this program comes along a lot of stories of hope, like this particular 2 pictures that you are looking at. These pictures are basically are of one of our friends of dolphins. His name is Sikandar Ali, who single-handedly rescued this baby dolphin, which was strayed into the shallow waters of the Indus. And then he not only just rescued it, but he safely released it into the main river. So this program is also a way for us to also transmit this legacy and message of dolphin conservation through these fishers to their own communities, to understand more about dolphin conservation and how sustainable fishing is a win-win both for dolphins and their own livelihood situations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Usman Hameda, for sharing this with us. And thank you for the brave fishermen who rescued this baby dolphin. And it's a great story how you help fishermen to improve their livelihoods and also know more about the dolphins. So thank you for that. Please keep your questions. India will also wants to share their experiences, a different species, a different dolphin again. So it's every time a challenge to see if it works or not. I can already tell you that in the Amazon so far, it did not work. So let's hear from India how the Ganges River dolphin is doing. Welcome, Suresh Babu and Shanavas Khan. Can I ask you indeed to share your presentation? And well, we practice for 5 minutes. Oh, and I also want to welcome Mr. Debal Rai. He's from the government of India. He'll be part of the panel later, but it's great to see you joining. Thank you. Please go ahead, Suresh and Shanavas. We see your screen. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, thanks, Daphne and Usman. I just wanted to introduce this multi-stakeholder initiative that we are doing in India. Just wanted to welcome our partners, West Bengal Forest Department, represented by the Chief Wildlife Warden, Dr. Debal Rai. We also have colleagues from Wildlife Institute of India, Dr. Kamar Qureshi and Dr. Vishnupriya Kolipakam, and my own colleagues from the WWF India. We are also thankful to the support from Darwin Initiative as well as the RECIT for co-financing this initiative. Just wanted to bring to your notice two important aspects on which this project, Sound of Safety, was built. One, Government of India's commitment on engaging with fishermen in dolphin conservation. You know, many of us will remember the CMS COP in 2020, the Concerted Action for South Asian River Dolphin, emphasize the need for engaging with fishermen and providing them with tools and gears that will help generate positive interaction between the community as well as the dolphin. So this initiative builds onto that. And second one is WII, the colleagues from WIF is here. They've done some short duration experiments in the Ganga system and the Brahmaputra system to look at the efficacy of Pinger. So we co-designed this, and I'm very happy to share what we are finding in this experiment so far. As colleagues from Pakistan mentioned, the Sounds of Safety project and initiative in India, particularly in West Bengal, are focused on three key pillars. One, we are looking at, of course, testing the effectiveness of Pingers with fishers, but also creating a model of dolphin stewardship. We are calling them as dolphin mitras in India, and also empowering them in understanding the interactions between the river dolphins and the fisheries. And the third pillar is around looking at policy and financial frameworks that would be required in mainstreaming technologies that could facilitate positive interactions between dolphins and the fishermen. And this is particularly important for India, and there is a huge opportunity, if this experiment works, because most of our rivers are known for its inland fisheries and support to millions of fishermen across the country. Our demonstration sites in West Bengal are in River Hooghly and Roopnarayan, and we are looking at the Ganga River dolphins, as Daphne mentioned. And we have selected sites for this experiments which are having abundance medium to high range, as well as these are falling in non-protected areas. And I think the importance of this aspect is very critical to note, because these are the areas where the dolphin fisheries interactions are very critical, and because these are in unprotected areas. The map is on the on your screen right now. These are the areas where we are trying to do the experiments. How we are conducting these experiments, and as Usma highlighted, this is not just a technical experiment, it's a social experiment as well, because we need the communities to appreciate and adopt and mainstream these technologies if proven viable. To take you through the details of the experiment, I'm requesting my colleague Shanawaz Khan to take over from here. Thanks.
Thank you. So to test the effectiveness of the fingers and their impact on dolphin behaviors as well as on the fish catch, we have set up an experiment in River Hooghly with the help of local fishers. And in this experiment, the data on dolphin presence, movement pattern, and behavior has been recorded as per the methodology developed with the help of experts from Chironia Fish Tech and Wildlife Institute of India. These observations were recorded in 10 days alternate cycles of active and inactive phases of fingers. For 70 days in River Rupnaran, using visual as well as the passive acoustic devices, with the help of passive acoustic devices. If you see in the right, in the right, upper right of these this slide, this is how the experiment was set up. 3 efforts were moved at the selected site of experiment, and 1 at the fixed net, and 2 up and downstream of the fishing nets. During the active phase, we attached fingers of 50 kilohertz to 120 kilohertz frequency on the head rope of 100-meter long gill net with mesh size of around 16 mm and 50-meter spacing, and these fingers were removed during the inactive phase. These are some activities of finger experiment that has been conducted in the River Hooghly, the daily observations for 70 days, and the setting up of equipment, their removal as per the methodology, and the monitoring of the equipment. Despite the fact that the data collection has not yet been completed, the preliminary findings indicate that the fingers are only effective up to a distance of 10 to 20 meters from the experiment net and not beyond that. These results are actually reassuring because there was a fear that these devices might permanently displace the dolphins from their habitats. But based on the data so far collected, we can say that the fingers are effective enough to keep the dolphins away from the net, but not at the same time, but not as strong as they can deter the dolphin far from their hotspots. The fish catches and their related market prices were also evaluated during the active and inactive phases of the experiment to check the impact of fingers on the fish catch and on the livelihood of the fishers, but no significant difference were found in the fish catches in terms of quantity and the market price during both phases. However, if we consider the chances of less net damage and catch loss while using the fingers, fingers may be more beneficial for the fishers. We have also been engaging with the fisher community through various awareness programs and workshops. The participants are being made aware of the importance of dolphins and motivated to be a part of citizen network called Prakriti Bandhu. These Prakriti Bandhu will get training and then will help us in the department for monitoring the river dolphins and reporting the occurrence of river dolphins habitat change threats and their mortality. And in some cases, they're standing as well. So far, we have we reached out to more than 600 community members along the river Hooghly, and this includes men, women, and the school kids from rural schools. We have also presented these preliminary findings to one of the important fisher society in Naliapur. And this is a very important fisher society with more than 450 active members that operates in one of the dolphin hotspot along the river Hooghly in Nadia and Purva Bardhaman district. And the fishers appreciated the idea of using innovative tools to reduce the dolphin fisher and fisheries interactions and assure us the full support for the dolphin conservation activities in their area. Thank you.
See, the pingers were effective, but they did not increase the catch for the fishers. So that is interesting, right? We've seen in Indonesia, it worked. That's the Irrawaddy river dolphin. We've seen in the Indus river dolphin in Pakistan, it works. And we've seen in now for the Ganges river dolphin, it works, but not for the fish in the Ganges. So something is different there. Thank you for explaining. To summarize, we have 4 river dolphin species in Asia, and the 4th one, well, it's actually the porpoise. It lives in China. And there is a total fisheries ban on the Yangtze River, so there is no bycatch there. So with this Pinger solution, we can make it work for entire Asia. That is quite interesting. And thank you, Shanavas, for pointing out that indeed not having net ruptures is already interesting for the fishers. So the catch is not increasing might not be a problem for them to be interested. Thank you very much for those presentations. I think it gives a good insight in how a weird technology, a banana pinger, can be effective in the field, helping communities and biodiversity alike. Thanks, Suresh and Shanavas. I'm sorry that we're running out of time. This was planned to be very interactive, but it's running a bit different than we thought. But I promise you that when this project ends, it's April 24, we'll have another session and then we'll have loads of questions. Leanne, is there a question in the chat you want to share with us now?
Yeah, thanks, Daphne. We've got one that's come in anonymously, but it's a great question. It just says, you know, if part of this project is to see if fishers can catch more fish, does that not contribute to overfishing and thus threaten the river dolphins and the fishers? So great question coming in from some anonymous source there. Who's best to help us answer that one?
Well, it's not the case in India. Maybe we can ask Usma Khan from Pakistan how she sees that. Is pinger use not leading to overfishing because it apparently increases fish catch for the fishers?
It's a great question, Leanne. So we are just doing the trials in a very small area, and this is what we are closely monitoring, that how does it impact. And we have seen fishing happens every day for, let's say, a few hours. So it's not like something which is going on 24 hours. And the variety of fish, at least we have seen to be very different. And some of the fish are actually carnivores, which we only see that they were caught when the pingers were on, which means that it's actually kind of eliminating the competition for dolphins. So that was interesting, but we are closely monitoring it, and dolphins come back as soon as you turn off the pinger. And we see that the trials are actually very located in very small areas. And that's what we are careful about, that we don't cause that adverse effect. I think, Daniel, would you also like to comment on it?
Sorry, we'll leave it here. So in short, there might be more fish catch, but it's very located, and we keep monitoring it closely if it's not causing effects to the system. Thank you, Isma, for clarifying that. Are there any questions here? Because I'm not being very active with the room here in Stockholm. Is there any doubt, any question to get you more engaged into this session? It's now really happening online mostly. There is a very silent audience, but I think they're happy. Thanks for the question, Leanne. It's a very important one because we don't want to cause problems, because in the end there will be a problem to both the dolphins and the fishes, right? If there's overfishing occurring. So thanks for closely monitoring that, Usma. And I know Danielle is doing the same in Indonesia. I would like to close this part now, so the element from the field, and I would like to go into the panel discussion, because it's really cool. We have something that works, but how can we scale it up? How can we involve other actors, other stakeholders? How can we make it impactful at scale? You've seen hundreds of fishes have been included in trials, but we're speaking of hundreds of thousands of fishers that are facing this challenge, and hundreds thousands dolphins that are facing these challenges. The last half hour of the session is a panel discussion. We'll have the private sector present, we have the government present, we have Wildlife Institute of India present. And first I have two small videos for you. One is David Croft, and he will tell us what he thinks the role of the private sector is. And I'll ask Fawad to react to that as private sector actors between them. And there's a small video from a fisher in India who has a call for his government. So allow me to share two short videos, and I pray for sound.
I'm of the opinion that the private sector has an absolutely critical role in influencing change. It's huge opportunity and a huge responsibility as well when you're reaching that many people every day. When we launched our sustainability ambitions back in 2021, our focus was to ensure at first that our business was committed and driving a reduction in negative impact and to eliminate that negative impact on the planet. But actually, as time has gone on, our focus is not only on reducing the negative, but increasing the positive impact we have, both environmentally and socially. And through brands like Finish, we're able to support reduced use of water. We're able to increase the contribution of hygiene on people's health. And particularly, we've been focused upon the impact of climate change on people's health, a real focus for many of our brands, and something that we speak at COP and the Climate Week, and have strongly been influencing how the policy has been developed around that, with great support from WWF. And in fact, in September, we'll be jointly talking to those same subjects, particularly with the focus on water, which is why your conversation today in Stockholm is really important. An impact on the livelihoods and the health of communities, and an impact on nature and ecosystems and biodiversity is a fantastic sweet spot that, as we look forward, we want to develop and grow.
Thank you, David. So he mentions a crucial role for private sector and a sweet spot where social and environmental issues come together. And he mentions influencing governments. I think that's really interesting. If we can come together, we can accelerate change.
I'm of the opinion that the private sector has an absolutely critical role in influencing change. It's huge.
And the last video for today, it's a short one. It's Nimai Rajbanshi from India having a question to his government.
আমার নাম নিমাই রাজবংশী, বাড়ি নলিয়াপুর। আমি প্রায় 40 বছর ধরে এই মাছের ব্যবসায় করি, মাছ ধরা, নৌকো চালানোই আমার কাজ। কিছুদিন ধরে এই সাহেবরা এখানে এসেছিল, ওনারা এই নৌকোতে যাতায়াত করতো। করার পর সাহেবদের কাছে একটা যন্ত্র ছিল, সেই যন্ত্রটা যদি ব্যবহার করলে কিন্তু শোষক কাছে আসতো না। আর আগে শোষকে মাছ ছিঁড়ে খেয়ে নিত, অনেক জালও নষ্ট করে দিত। তা ওই যন্ত্রটা যদি একটু কম পয়সায় সাহেবরা আমাদেরকে দেয়, তাহলে একটু ভালো হয়। আমরা গরিব মানুষ, কোথায় কিনতে পারবো অত টাকা দিয়ে? তাছাড়া এটা দিলে আমাদের খুব উপকার হয়।
Banshee, did you see the dolphin in the back? Oh, can you see? Oh, can I? Ah. While he was talking, a dolphin passed by. Isn't that magic? So with those wise words, can I please introduce you to the panel of today? Fawad Somro, who is the head of Anglo Foundation in Pakistan. Please join us, and I hope you can be highlighted so we can all see you in the Zoom. I also would like... to welcome Dr. Vishnupriya Kolipakam and Kamar Qureshi from the Wildlife Institute of India. Welcome. And of course, Mr. Debal Rai. He's the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest Wildlife and Chief Wildlife Warden from the government of West Bengal. So, three important people on our panel. I hope we can see them shortly. In the meanwhile, Fawad Somro, can I please ask you those words from David Croft? What do you feel about it? How do you see the role of the private sector, and do you see a role for your organization to play here?
Thank you, Daphne. I hope I'm audible.
My apologies.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's not audible for the rest of the audience yet.
Sorry, Fawad, I think we're having some slight technical difficulties where the audience can't hear you quite yet. We'll just wait for the...
Yes, we can hear you now. Please, Fawad Somro, go ahead.
Thank you, Daphne. So I would definitely agree with David in terms of highlighting the importance of private sector's involvement. But we must also acknowledge that private sector's investment, has some prerequisites. So as of now, normally the investment flows where returns on investment are very clear with respect to risks. Currently, ecosystem services market is not fully developed, and I think it's not ready to receive large-scale private sector investment. So we do have, carbon markets, and something similar could be developed. It could act as an important blueprint. But having said that, the ecosystem services market is still underdeveloped. So what do we do in a situation like that? So in my opinion, in that kind of a situation, the role of financial institutions and particularly the development finance institutions from private sector becomes very interesting, because the onus of, let's say, coming up with innovative products, products that are tailored to addressing a specific challenge, and which essentially, de-risks the early stage investments in that particular demonstration phase. That becomes very important. And there are examples in the past where, something similar has been achieved. So for example, some first loss arrangements whereby, a development finance institution takes on responsibility in case there's a market failure, and they sort of take on the first loss. And there could also be something similar in terms of cascading investment where, certain stages of investment could be de-linked from large scale exposure to the private sector. So for example, a pre-feasibility stage could be done with philanthropic capital, and perhaps, proof of concept could come at a later stage before large scale investment takes place. Similarly, I think the role of early stage angel investors and impact first capital, we should absolutely acknowledge that there is a growing movement around impact first capital. We have seen variety of social enterprises, but what we have not seen is enterprises that focus on ecosystem services. There's a huge potential for that, I think, and that again is also very important when markets are underdeveloped. So those early stage investments could pave the way for developing a full-fledged market where private risk capital could come in full flow. And also at this stage, it's important to highlight the importance of philanthropic capital, because in absence of capital which is is looking at returns, for example, philanthropic capital can fill the essential gaps. And that is where I think organization like ours, we are a diversified conglomerate, but I represent the foundation, and we actually believe in strategic placement of philanthropic capital and investing into these early stage market development activities, whereby essentially the market becomes ready for investments. Similarly, the role of public sector is also very important. All of this, it's a complex business, and it's something that where a large number of stakeholders need to act in a coordinated way. I think the public sector's role cannot be ignored. And I think there's a lot of potential in terms of establishing creative public-private partnerships. That perhaps would require a complete separate discussions. I'll stop here.
Thank you, Vavat. There was a lot in your answer. Development banks that can reduce risks, investment capital, ecosystem services, they're interested in it. You mentioned the philanthropic capital, like yourself are supporting, and of course the public sector, the governments, to support all this to scale. So what I hear you saying is that we need a huge coalition. We need many actors to work together to make this happen. And I think that is I really agree with you. It sounds like a challenge, but I think we both like a challenge. So thank you for this broad answer with many elements that we can build on together in the near future. Can I go to the next panelist, please? And that's Mr. Debal Ray from the government of West Bengal in India. Can you please shed your light on how you see that the government can play a role in scaling up this kind of innovations, new approaches, and make it work for the people and for nature? And maybe also going into this very fair question of the fisher that spoke to us just now. Thank you. Mr. Debal Ray. You're on mute.
Thank you for having me in this discussion. Can you hear? Can you hear
Yes,
my voice?
Can. Thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. This is an exciting time, and the topic of the discussion today is also very close to our heart. This is one of the very important animal in India, and certain thing converged in India that has renewed the attention of the government for conservation of this species. This species has been listed among the 22 important critically endangered species in India, which government is giving much importance to conserve. The Gangetic river dolphin is one of the indicator of the health of Ganga, and as we have taken up the task of cleaning Ganga, the importance of having this species in its entire stretch cannot be overemphasized. I am happy to say that as a result of the importance that has been attached to its conservation at the highest level, lot of organizations, both at the government level and as well as the NGO level, particularly WWF and a few others, have come forward. In my state, that is West Bengal, where the Ganga flows in its last stretch, and quite a few development has taken place. Positive development, I should say, has taken place. One is the Dr. Qureshi is over here. His team he did the first census of Gangetic dolphin in my stretch, and we found a very healthy population of Ganga, and they also identified certain stretches where there is, you can say very loosely, these are hotspots where a very high population of the species are occurring. Now, conserving a species which is highly protected by the law in India in a stretch of land which is not protected, that is, which is a common property resource, poses unique kind of challenge. So how to address this challenge? Now, one method that has been tested by WWF is the Pinger solution, and I was listening with interest about the result of Pinger experiment all over the world. And our result is not much different, although it is in the preliminary stage. We did one cycle of experiment, and more data will come. There are certain noise in the data also. Probably as and when more data will be collected, we'll get a clearer picture as to what sound frequency should be used. I was listening with interest about the Pakistani example, where they used a higher range of fingers, and that resulted in driving away all the dolphins. So I would be interested to know what is the long-term effect of such high intensity, high frequency range fingers also. But anyway, we'll come to know about the effectiveness of fingers, their clearance radius and other things. And most probably, we need to do, what should I say, in-house manufacturing of it. If not in-house, maybe indigenous manufacturing of it, so that finger cost come down. And that would help in people like the gentleman who spoke in the earlier video, that their nets can also be fitted with fingers, and it will be a win-win situation for all, the dolphins as well as the fishermen. But the fact remains that most of the dolphins congregate in the river confluences, where two or more rivers meet one another, and because of the high DO and other abundance of lower fishes, the fishermen go there, and also dolphins also go there. So the competition is there. Maybe this competition can be reduced spatially by not having both the predators, the human being and the dolphins at the same time at the same spot. So that can really cut down the dolphin deaths. So this is number one. Second experiment that another NGO has started in in my state is about how to catch the dolphin oil. Means whenever certain dolphins are dead, their oils are collected, and these are used as a bait for fishing and other things. So training certain dogs for sniffing out the dolphin oil, and developing a field testing kit for rapid detection of the dolphin oil. These are two things that are in the process of development. Probably this will also help us in stopping the dolphin deaths in West Bengal. Regarding along with the increase in number of dolphins, certain stretch of West Bengal has been developed into conservation reserve under a separate law, which is called Biodiversity Act of India. Under that act, certain stretch has been declared as not only conservation reserve, they developed it as a heritage site, biodiversity heritage site, and we developed it into conservation reserve. The thing is that the net result is that in that stretch of area, the fishing has been stopped. But the interesting thing is that dolphin tourism has picked up in that area. So you lose livelihood in one manner, but you gain livelihood in some other manner. So it is not really loss for the primary stakeholders if we stop fishing in certain stretches. Maybe this experiment will give us some good result to replicate in other areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was also a very rich answer. You mentioned there's a first survey being done in West Bengal, and we are all anxiously waiting to hear what the results are. But it's great to know already that there are more dolphins than we thought, and the hotspots are in your area where also the pingers are tested. So that is good news. The DOST you mentioned also as a responsibility for the government, as the surveys, and this alternative livelihoods in tourism. And well, I must confess, when I saw my first Ganges dolphin, I was lost. So I think it could work very well. Two elements I wanted to pick up on. One is that you said we would like to produce the pingers here in country. So maybe Rob Eneve from FishTech can give a very quick answer to that. Is that possible to produce the pingers in India? Because then, of course, they would be cheaper. And the second element is connecting the answer from Fawad and your Mr., the public-private partnerships, because I think we have something here in hands that could work really well. I heard financial institutions, I heard the work by the government. So if we bring this together, I think we have an opportunity to scale pingers. Rob, can you come in and, well, please be concise, but is it possible to produce pingers in India?
Yes, yes, it is, and it's possible to produce pingers cheaper as well. But in order to make things cheaper, there must be demand. There's got to be a good market, you know. So rather than making 200, 300, you've got to put it out there and have 100,000 made, and then you can get economies in your manufacturing process and use cheaper methods. You can either have it made in India, or you can have an arrangement with India where there aren't imports duties or taxes or things like that. So there's plenty of ways that you can get the cost down. But yes, the answer is yes, you can do that, get it cheaper and get it made in India.
And you're happy to cooperate. I see that in your eyes.
Yes, yeah, of course. Looking for the conservation out.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thanks. And then I would like to move to Kamar Qureshi from the Wildlife Institute of India, because Mr. Debalray also referred to you. Can you tell us a bit more how your knowledge institution works and how you bring together all those actors, because that is part of your work as well, as I understood. And of course, Dr. Vishnupriya Kokipakan will help you answer this question, I expect. Please take the floor.
So it's very important to have partners in this whole conservation issue, because no one individual or organization can do or achieve success. In India, a large number of rivers and area is, where dolphins are occurring. So NGO partners, government, institutions play a very important role. And I feel most of the time individual egos play a spoiler than institutional arrangements to work together. So I think it's very crucial that national and international organizations should get together. The Government of India is investing very hugely in this program of river conservation and dolphin conservation in a very big way. And WII is chosen as one of the incubation center where the idea is to bring all the possible technologies with many institutions within India and abroad, as well as NGOs on one platform to find technological solution, as well as to have more softer solution engaging people in this whole conservation program. Pinger is a very small aspect of conservation. There's more to do if we want to save dolphin and rivers. And that's where we are aiming at. That Pinger is one, but there are many more things need to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think in terms of this multi-institutional or multi-starter collaborations, what we've felt so far is also that the role of the government has been very critical for sustenance and accountability and continuation on a large scale. Any one of us can only do so much, but when we have the support of the system in place, it becomes a win-win situation. And especially for something as large as fishing, which is, probably the poorest of the people depend on it. Without the support of the government, it can't happen. But that is not to say that we don't have our roles. I think what is most important in this cross-organizational collaboration would be identification of roles and responsibilities and deliverables. I think that is where the success comes from. At least in India, what we've seen so far is one institution setting up a scientific basis of it, the government supporting us, and partners like WWF implementing at where they are best at, where reaching out to a larger, wider framework. So I think commitment and keeping track of programs is where the success of programs lie. So yeah, that's
I'll add to that. One interesting thing Government of India has recently done is that bringing private sector in a more formalized way for their investment, what we call CSR funding. And so that funding of CSR funds plus government funds put together for conservation. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a very clear answer. And I feel a lot of elements as you're saying, the roles and responsibilities have to be clear, of course, but then it could be a win-win situation. And the government in India is playing a large role, I understand from you, and that's great. And I think it's very helpful to make these small pilot projects that we have been showing today into a real impact on level, right? So thank you for making those remarks. And the private investment also comes in. So I feel this PPP, public-private partnership, growing between you. Is there anything you would like to do in the next 6 months to make a change for this situation? Anything concrete? I mean, Rob already said he will build a factory in India. What is that the government of India plans to do in the next 6 months, and maybe also what the Wildlife Institute of India sees? And I would love to hear from Endangered Foundation as well. I should be clear, huh? Oh, no, I'm frozen. Whoa, looks like a ghost.
Definitely, if I can.
Can I ask the Wildlife Institute?
Definitely, before Mr. Deval Rai will come in. So we are having a collab. I mean, two industries are planning to work, and it is a scaling issue at present, as rightly said. So there are two companies who are, and the local companies as well as Australian and one European company who want to put up a factory here in India. But it's about scaleless. So if the scale is about 10,000 plus, we can bring down the finger cost as small as 800 rupees, which is very cheap.
I can also pitch in, I think, as part of the Project Dolphin Action Plan, it has the element of implementing pingers for deterring dolphins from nets. So, which also is in collaboration with Fisheries Department for subsidies. So, the government is already looking forward to implementation of these action points which are there. So that will also, I think, bring a huge change in the way this will go ahead. And the second thing is the incubation centers that we were talking about, which will be started in institutions or, in partnership with NGOs in India, will have the backing of the government in terms of investment and subsidy. So that also, I think, will be a huge game changer when it comes to pingers as well.
And these pingers will not be bought by fishers. These pingers are provided for free. That's what the program is all about. So they are not going to invest at all.
Wow, that is impressive news. So there are already subsidies and you are already working towards scaling. I understand the scale is an issue. It always is. But also here you're mentioning the risk reduction that was mentioned at the very beginning by Fawad Somro. So as mentioned, I think we're coming together here. We will continue this discussion. This is not a one-off. We will come together again. I would like to share with you 2 last slides to see how we as WWF can help and the governments can help, because I think we heard today that it's nice to have a beautiful technology. It's nice to have it proven in the field, but making it impactful at scale, we need private sector and governments. And that is what is going to happen in October this year. The 24th of October is World River Dolphin Day. We celebrate it every year, but this year is a very special one because the 14 governments from the countries, the range countries where river dolphins live, come together in Colombia, Bogota, and they will sign together a global declaration that will include 8 elements. And I won't go into detail now because I know you're tired. And I am, but I think this is a beautiful moment for this cross inspiration that we have seen today as well. This declaration will be signed by the governments, but during the event, there will be many other actors. There will be the financial institutions that were mentioned. Reckitt and the Endangered Foundation will be there. Other influential conventions will be there. So those are the 8 elements we need to save river dolphins in the world. And you'll see that 3 elements we discussed today: the unsustainable fishing practices, the working with the local communities, and mobilize partners and funding to make it all happen at scale. So I'm very happy that most of the participants online today will be with us this October in Bogota, Colombia. Together, we'll try to stop the decline of those species and even to bend the curve, because some Asian species really have to grow in population. If we, for example, heard from Indonesia, from Daniel Krab. Thank you very much for being with us here today. Thank you to all the speakers. It was brilliant. I think we learned a lot. Funny enough, we rehearsed quite a lot, but every time I learn new things. So it was a great session. I really appreciate all your participation, and I wish you a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.